Hello there, welcome. Find a nice spot, get comfortable. I'll be your guide for the next few minutes on let's call it a relaxing grammar safari. We're going to take a look at the wild world of sentence phrases. The secret ingredients that really make writing come alive.
Okay, let's just dive right in. Our whole journey starts with this one little sentence: the capybara sat. I mean, it works, right? It gets the job done, we know who did what, but it feels a little boring, doesn't it? There's no scenery, no vibe, no personality.
So, how do we fix that? How do we take this simple statement and turn it into something you can actually picture in your head? Well, the answer is phrases. Just think of them as these little Lego blocks you can use to add all sorts of detail and description and rhythm to your sentences. Okay, let's wander over to our first stop on the safari. This is where we'll find some of the most common and, honestly, most useful phrases in the entire grammar jungle: prepositional phrases. These are the little guys that tell us where and when things are happening. So, what is a prepositional phrase? You can think of it like a little GPS for your sentence. It always kicks off with a preposition. Words like on, in, at, behind, during, and it always ends with a noun. It's a really simple little package, but it's super powerful for adding all that important context. And what's really cool about these phrases is how flexible they are. They can do two totally different jobs. Sometimes they act like an adjective, which means they describe a thing, like the book on the table. But other times they act like an adverb, describing an action, like they arrived before sunset. See, that phrase tells us when they arrived. All right, time to venture a little deeper. Our next stop is home to some seriously clever phrases, ones that can actually disguise themselves as nouns. Yeah, they can become the subject or the object in a sentence, which is a pretty neat trick if you ask me. First up, we've got the gerund phrase. A gerund is just a verb that ends in ing. But here's the twist: it's acting like a noun. It's a way of taking an action, like swimming, and turning it into a thing that you can talk about. The whole phrase that comes after it just works as one single noun. Take a look at this. In this sentence, the entire chunk, listening to podcasts, is the subject. It's the thing that is a great way to improve your skills. See, it's not about a person who is listening right now. It's about the act of listening itself. Now, here's a really important tip. You always treat a gerund phrase as a singular subject. So even if it sounds plural, like in reading books and articles is my hobby, the real subject isn't the books and articles. Nope, the subject is the single act of reading, and that's why we use is, not are. Tricky, I know. All right, next up in this part of the jungle is the infinitive phrase. It starts with an infinitive, which is just the word to plus a verb, like to swim or to relax. Now, these are incredibly versatile, but they're also a common spot where people get a little tangled up. So how can you tell an infinitive phrase apart from a prepositional phrase when they both can start with to? It's actually really simple. You just have to look at the word that comes right after it. If it's a verb, like to eat, then you've got an infinitive. If it's a place or a thing, like to the store, then it's a prepositional phrase. Easy, right? Okay, we're heading even deeper now, into the really lush part of the jungle. This is where we find the most decorative phrases, the ones that add all those rich, descriptive details. Think of them like the colorful feathers on a bird, or the wild patterns on a butterfly's wings. So a participle phrase basically acts like one big adjective. It usually starts with a verb that ends in ing or ed, and its whole job is to describe a noun. It really helps paint a picture by telling us what the noun is doing or what's been done to it. Now, this is another spot where things can get confusing, so let's clear it up. It's all about the job the phrase is doing. In My Dog Likes Sleeping on the Sofa, the phrase is the thing the dog likes, so it's a noun. But in Sleeping on the Sofa, the dog looked peaceful, that phrase is describing the dog, so it's an adjective. See the difference? All right, the last creature on our tour today is the appositive phrase. This one sounds fancy, but it's so simple and so useful. It's just a noun or a noun phrase that renames another noun that's right next to it. It's kind of like giving your noun a little nickname or an extra title that gives us more info. And you can have a lot of fun with these. Right here, my pet narwhal is the appositive phrase. It's just renaming Tammy. This is a perfect example of how you can add your own voice to your writing. The sentence works fine without it, but adding my pet narwhal tells you a little something about the speaker and makes it kind of funny.
So, for our grand finale, we're going to circle all the way back to our little capybara from the beginning. Let's take all these new tools we've just collected and put them to work to build a much, much better sentence. Okay, here we are again, back where we started. The capybara sat. Subject, verb. Simple, clear, and still pretty flat. We can definitely do better. First things first, let's add a prepositional phrase to set the scene a little. On the rock. Okay, now we know where our capybara is. We've got a location. The picture is already starting to get a little bit clearer. Next up, how about a participle phrase to show what our capybara is actually doing? Now we have, relaxing in the warm water, the capybara sat on the rock. See how that adds a little action and a whole lot of mood? You can almost feel the calm, can't you? And now, for the final touch, let's throw in a positive phrase to give our friend a name and a bit of personality. And look at that transformation. Cappy, the most chilled-out animal in the jungle, sat on the rock, relaxing in the warm water. We went from just 3 simple words to a rich, descriptive image that's full of life and character. So we've seen how all these different phrases can add location, action, and personality to your writing. They really are the tools you can use to build worlds, create vivid images, and pull your readers in. The only question left is, what are you going to build?